So the tech sector keeps arguing that restrictions are difficult to enforce because teenagers may bypass them with VPNs or alternative platforms. So you say that this logic is ridiculous and we shouldn't abandon safeguarding in every other part of society simply because some people break the rules. So what do you think about this? Leave your comment and your question on the social media site that you are viewing this content on. This content is being added to 20 plus social media sites. And in addition to this, from now on, this segment, this podcast, this webinar will be added as a segment on Radio Future. Radio Future is a radio station in New York City, and they are broadcast 24/7, focusing on technology-related stuff. And because of this podcast, in addition to having cybersecurity news, it will also provide some latest news in technology as well. Now, let me just look through if this is good to share. It says that the same data out there about you can also be used against you, and now it is being used against you. Oh, this is so technical. I don't want to go through stuff that is too technical for you guys. It's about the military, Iranians, and so on. This is a news from Bangkok. So there will be a new initiative in Bangkok. There will be a media camp for youth from across the region in Bangkok. And during this camp, they will focus on sharing stories of human trafficking and online scam gangs that are exploiting victims through cross-border schemes. And this camp is being held this weekend. And for the first run, it's going to bring together 60 youth ambassadors from Thailand and other ASEAN countries. So the program is jointly held by the Anti-Human Trafficking Center, the US Embassy in Thailand, and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And what it does is that it's going to educate young people about the growing connection between online scam operation and human trafficking. So the Thailand authorities say that these criminal networks, what they do is that they lure victims abroad with fake job offers before forcing them to work in scam compounds under abusive conditions. And this actually affects the security, economy, and public safety in many countries. So the law enforcement in Bangkok, in Thailand, they say that scam and trafficking syndicates, they depend heavily on human resources and public awareness. And public awareness can weaken these networks by reducing the number of potential victims. So based on our latest statistics, more than 1,400 applicants aged 18 to 30 years old from Thailand and other ASEAN countries have applied to join this program, to join this camp, but they have only selected 60 participants. And during this camp, they'll share about survivors' testimonies, and they will conduct workshops on storytelling and also presentation of anti-trafficking awareness campaigns. So that's what's happening in Thailand. They're actually organizing all this kind of awareness camp to drive awareness about human trafficking, online job scams, and so on. And there's even a driver now. This is from UK. There's a driving license scam in the United Kingdom right now. Let me try to get this page loaded so I can share with you exactly what they are trying to say. Oh no, I can't load the page. I don't understand why. Well, here's another one. Cyber fraud advisory issued on bogus helicopter bookings and hotel reservations. And this is from the Free Press Journal. Johan advised travelers to verify the authenticity of websites and booking platform before making payments and to avoid sharing personal or banking details with unknown persons online. And he urges people to use only authorized portals and official service providers for bookings and to report suspicious websites or cyber fraud immediately to the police or the National Cybercrime Helpline. This is from India. Madhya Pradesh. So there's this place. It's called the Char Dham Yatra, and it's attracting thousands of pilgrims. And because of the popularity of this place, cyber fraudsters, they have stepped up online scams targeting travelers through fake helicopter bookings, hotel reservations, and tour packages. Well, I can see this happening in a lot of places because, there are a lot of places, popular tourist destination that attracts a lot of thousands of people visiting that place. And fraudsters, they can easily set up online scams to target travelers that are traveling to all these popular places like different tourist places in Australia, Japan, and so on. And if you don't know the language of that place, for example, in a place like Japan, right? Oh, anyway, this podcast is broadcast to 20 over social media sites, including to places like Japan, Russia, Middle East, China, and so on. And this from now on, this segment will be broadcast as part of a segment on Radio Future. Radio Future is a 24/7 radio channel in New York City. They focus on technology related news. And because of this, we will share some technology related news as well. So back to this thing, right? So the police in Madhya Pradesh and the cyber police over there, they have issued an advisory urging people to remain vigilant while making travel arrangement online. So according to them, the fraudsters are using fake websites, social media advertisements, WhatsApp numbers, and cultivate customer care services to lure victims with attractive discounts and low-cost travel packages. So several complaints have been received from pilgrims who lost thousands of rupees. Rupees is the currency of India. So pilgrims that have lost thousands of rupees after making advance payments for fraudulent Char Dham tour packages and helicopter tickets. So the police force in Madhya Pradesh, they are advising travelers to verify the authenticity of websites and booking platforms before making payments, and to avoid sharing personal and banking details with unknown persons online. So this is happening in Madhya Pradesh, India. Well, I'm like browsing through the different cybersecurity scams related news, and there's like 20 over listings, and one at one glance there is so many cybersecurity news that is coming out of India right now. There's so many different kinds of, and there's so many different variations of fraud. There's like frauds regarding bogus helicopter bookings, hotel reservations, lottery scams, education scams, different kinds of network cyber fraud, WhatsApp scams, mobile phone scams, banking scams, and it is all coming from India. India is very proactive in reporting about cyber frauds, and there's so many of it, and it's very difficult to choose one to share with our listeners. Oh, there's one interesting one. They say that this one is about Japan's online romance scam. Japanese grandmother who lost 1 crore to a man she never met, and why Indian aunties are next. That's really funny. 1 crore. Okay, so 1 crore. Let me just explain to the Western listeners. Crore is a number unit to measure a certain a number in India and South. Generally, crore is a term, a unit that is used in South Asia, and it's very unique to South Asia. We don't use it in any part of the world. They use things like 1 lakh, 1 crore. So 1 lakh is like about 100,000, and I forgot what's 1 crore. If you know about it, please comment on the social media site that you are viewing this platform on. And if you are listening into Radio Future, then comment on the website as well. Tell me what 1 crore stands for. I forgot about it. I remember that 1 lakh is 100,000. I used to travel to India so often in my previous life, in my previous career. Okay, so back to this. It says that Japanese grandmother who lost 1 crore to a man she never met, and why Indian aunties are next. Okay, Japan's online romance scam have surpassed traditional crimes, costing citizens about 324 billion yen, and that roughly translates to about $3 billion USD, and it has cost citizens 324 billion yen in 2025, with 55 billion yen attributed to social media fraud. Victims, often lonely individuals, are manipulated into sending large sums to scammers posing as potential partners. Oh dear, the poor Japanese, the poor Nihonjins, they are um, falling into so much of romance scam. Okay, so before I go on to tell you about the rest of this news, okay, so I'm scrolling through this news. I need to alert you to this kind of fraud. So I'm reading this news, and there's this particular prompt that pops up, and it says that click on allow to subscribe to notifications. So it has two buttons, later or allow. And if you see this kind of pop-ups, don't click on it. And on some websites, right, they say that, oh, click on this to consent to cookies being stored on your laptop. No, don't click on it. Just forget about it. There's so many. there's so many content on the internet right now. You don't have to click on any kind of buttons online, because sometimes they say that is to click on the button in order to allow cookies to be stored on your computer. But that's not the case, because the algorithm behind that particular button is not to store cookies on your computer, but is to download a malicious software on your computer so that they have access to your camera and your microphone. So don't click on any kind of buttons. Just leave it. Now back to this news. It says that Japan is losing more money to online love than to burglary, pickpocketing, and mugging combined. And it claims that this playbook is already on a WhatsApp near you. So it goes on to describe like a quiet town in northern Japan, the kind of place that feels like Odisha. So they're trying to say that, it's the same thing, a quiet town in Japan, a quiet town in India. And a woman in her 50s opened a message from a stranger who claimed to be a celebrity. So over several weeks, this celebrity wrote to the auntie, the old lady, the way her husband never had. So what this person did was that he was very patient, he was very romantic, and he's very attentive to small things. And by the time the conversation ended, she had transferred 18 million yen, that is roughly about 1 crore in rupee, in today's rate, to a man she had never met, never caught, and whose face she would never see again. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. And she's just one of the many statistics that's happening in Japan right now. So in 2025, Japanese citizens lost a combined around 300 billion yen to fraud, and it's the highest number ever recorded in a country that until recently was known for safe, left unlocked, and wallets returned through the post. Okay, so what it's saying is that, Japanese, they are falling for this kind of scams, and they say that this is happening to a country that is well known for being safe. You can literally leave your bag on the desk, on the public desk, on the public table. You can leave your phone on the table and no one is going to steal it from you. But online fraud is a different case, all right? Because you can be in a very safe country, being around people who practices ethics, who don't want to cheat anybody. But the problem is, if the fraud is conducted online, it may not be from a Japanese, it may not be from an Indian, it may not be from a Singaporean, and so on. It may not be a Finnish, it could be from somebody from an entirely different country. And normally online fraud is from an entirely different country, because that uh oh, wait a while. It could be from an entirely different country. So romance scam alone conducted through social media accounted for 55 billion yen across 5,000 reported case. And what the Japanese police, they call it the SNS Gata Romansu Sagi. I don't understand what that means. Or in English is being translated as social media type of romance fraud. And he has doubled year on year. So if you are thinking that this is a Japanese problem, please keep on reading. Okay. So what he's saying is that this kind of scam is going to take place in many other places as well. It's not just on Japan in Japan. The pattern that took Japan a decade to build is arriving in India on a faster timeline. and it's already here. So it goes on to explain about how the scam works. It's telling us to forget about the old stereotype of the Nigerian scam, like a Nigerian prince in a misspelled email. It says that the modern romance scam is patient, literate, and uses photographs of real people, often models, soldiers, or doctors, scraped from Instagram or LinkedIn. And it begins almost always with a wrong number message. For example, hi, is this Rahul? Sorry, I think I added you by mistake. Are you from Mumbai? Then from there, a conversation starts. So he is courteous. He asks about her children, and he remembers that her mother has a knee problem. So within a few weeks of trying to romance the lady, he becomes the person that the lady speaks to most in a day. So what he does is the scammer does is that he preys on lonely Japanese female and preying on her loneliness and trying to speak to her the whole day, trying to be as endearing as possible, trying to be as intimate as possible. All this in order to gain her trust. And finally, when she gains her trust, he asks her, tells her that he is in some kind of problem and he wants her to transfer some money to him. So that's how the scam takes place. So he never asks for money immediately. And that is the trap that people have prepared for. So, everybody knows that, if you suddenly ask money, then this could be a fraud. But this scammer, he doesn't ask for money. Instead, he shares a hot stock tip that makes her profit on a trading app that he recommends. And then he tells her about the crypto opportunity open only to friends. Then, after all this, he tells her that he needs a small loan because his shipment is stuck at custom and his millions in frozen overseas assets will be released any day. By the time she realizes what has happened, the app that she uses has vanished, the money in a mule account 3 countries away, and the man she fell in love with has never existed. So in November 2025, the Japanese police began investigating a case in which a woman is believed to have handed over 100 million yen, close to 5.9 crore, to fraudsters imposing as marriage prospect. So in a place called Fukuoka in Japan, a woman in her 40s, she lost 11 million yen to a man to a man she met on a social networking app. And in one of the most talked about Japanese case of 2025, an 80-year-old woman in Sapporo was convicted by a fraudster claiming to be an astronaut trapped on a spaceship under attack who urgently needed money to buy oxygen. All right, I think that this is too much for me. How could how could anyone believe a fraudster who claims to be an astronaut trapped on a spaceship under attack, and that astronaut needs money to buy oxygen? Perhaps that person has watched too much anime. But then again, this this victim is an 80-year-old woman in Sapporo, a Japanese woman, 80-year-old. So she could be, not in the right mindset. That is why she fell for this kind of trick. And what she did after she heard about this trick, this astronaut who needed money to buy oxygen, what she does is that she went ahead to buy 1 million worth of electronic money cards at 5 convenience stores and send him the codes. Astronaut, oxygen, convenience store cards. In the end, she sent him the money. So they say that it's not about intelligence, it's a story about loneliness. All right, so why is India walking into the same wall? So he says that India lost about 22,000 crore to cybercrime in 2025. There's a 24% jump in case volume over the previous year. So investment scams dominated the loss, but romance link pig butchering frauds, where emotional trust is used to route victims into fake trading platforms, are the fastest growing category that nobody talks about at family dinners. The Indian victim profile is shifting in exactly the way Japan did 5 years ago, and Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities are now the front line. Broadband, smartphone penetration crossed 86% of Indian household in 2025, and the newest user, often women in their 40s and 50s in smaller cities, whose children have moved to metro or abroad, are online in larger numbers than ever before, and they are least equipped to read the signals. So it says that embarrassment is the scammer's best friend. 1 in 5 UPI users have encountered some form of fraud, yet more than half of India's cyber fraud victims never filed a formal complaint. Well, I can get that why this is happening. You know, like, I mean, you know exactly why this is happening. You know, this kind of romance scam is just happening all around the world. It's not just in Japan. It's a very big opportunity for fraudsters nowadays, because it's a very big opportunity for fraudsters nowadays because you know, we have declining population all around the world. It's not just in Japan. It's happening all around the world, and as long as you have declining population, you have old people, and these old people, sometimes they are just not equipped to handle this kind of fraud. So what we can safely assume is that there will be larger number of people who are going to be, you know, scammed by all these fraudsters. And you know, all these kind of online scams, they will easily this kind of online scams can easily trick the old people, because they have no one around them. A lot of countries, they have declining populations. The younger generations, they are moving overseas. They are moving to places that are they have more job opportunities. So it leaves all the old people behind. And all these old people, all these elderlies, they are the perfect target for fraudsters. And some of them, they're like so lonely. The spouses have passed away, and there's no one to take care of them. They literally have no one to talk to the entire day. And suddenly a scammer comes around, messages them on WhatsApp or whatever chatting platform they are on, and they chat to all these elderlies the entire day, taking them away from their loneliness. And loneliness can be such a huge mental issue. It's so difficult to solve. It's so difficult to endure. And these fraudsters, they prey exactly on that. So when it happens, they have no one to turn to. They turn to all these fraudsters, and these fraudsters, they easily gain trust in the people, and in the end, they transfer large money to all these people. So what they say is that the embarrassment are scammers' best friend. 1 in 5 UPI user encountered some form of fraud, yet more than half of Indian cyber fraud victims, they never filed a formal complaint. The shame of being fooled, particularly in a romance context, particularly for a married woman or widow, keeps the cases invisible. So in Japan, the same silence delayed the national response by years. And it claims that the regulators, they're several steps behind. Because even though if they have blocked a lot of fraudulent transactions, which is an enormous achievement, but 28 lakh cases were reported in 2025. 28 lakh cases, which means that 1 lakh is about 100,000. So if it's 28 lakh, it means that it's about 2.8 million cases. So 2.8 million cases were reported in 2025, but only 55,000 were filed to the police force. So most victims in India, they never see their money again. So now it's explaining how does all these Japanese scams look like when it wears a sari. So what happens in Japan is that they have the romance scam because of all these lonely elderlies. Then they have the Indian version, the local version, that is the NRI doctor in Dubai who cannot receive his inheritance without a small processing fee. Or is the Indian army major posted in Leh whose phone is about to be confiscated and who needs just 50,000 rupees to tide him over. Or it could be the widower from Canada whose late wife left a property that needs an Indian bank account to be transferred to. So on the investment side, the TAL is a WhatsApp group. An acquaintance or a charming new friend adds her to a group where everyone is making money on a trading app. So what they share on this trading app is daily tips, screenshots of profits, a mentor who takes personal interest, or a first small investment doubles, the second triples, and the third one is she borrows from her sister-in-law to put in. Then the withdrawal stops working. So in Japan, the equivalent is the Toshi Sagi, an investment fraud dressed in romantic packaging. And in India, it arrives already wearing the sari. So what gets written about cyber safety is useless to the people most at risk. So when cybersecurity experts, they say that, oh, you should just use strong password and all these tips, it doesn't help someone who is like 50 years old, 60 years old, because no matter what password they change to, they have already fallen in love with a photograph. And now it's not just about falling in love with a photograph, it's about falling in love with an AI generated video that looks so good, so realistic, and you believe that that person is really who or he claims to be. So to the person who has fallen in love with that particular picture, that particular video, it doesn't matter what you tell him. You tell him to change his password. You tell him to be more careful about all these online things, but nothing tugs as strongly as love, right? So when a person is very lonely, what he or she wants right now is love, and that's when they get fraud so easily. And the wrong number message is never a wrong number. If a stranger strikes up a conversation after messaging a wrong person, that was not an accident. That was a work shift in building. That was a work shift in a building in Southeast Asia where 50 people are running the same script. If you have never video called a person, they are not real. But even if you have video called a person, they may not be real as well, because it's AI generated. There are AI generated technology that enables the fraudster to generate videos that look so real. That's not them at all, but it looks so real, like another person, different appearance. And it looks so real, looks so good that you have no choice but to fall in love with that person. And the common excuse such as bad internet, when you want to do a video call with that person and that person claims that, oh no, I can't go on this call. There's bad internet. There's I have bad internet. I can't do video calls. I can only do voice calls. I can, just share some pictures. No, those are signals that this might be a fraud. Or the person says that, oh, I'm very shy. I don't dare to do video calls. That is a kind of, no matter how much you tell that person to do video calls, right? He or she keeps saying that he's shy, she's shy, so that's a signal that it may be a fraud as well. Or there's military secrecy, offshore oil rig, astronauts, all these are excuses. So you got to take note of all these excuses, be alert of them. Now, this love scams is really scary. Now, after reading all this, I have my own opinion. There's such a large opportunity, money making opportunities for fraudsters nowadays, because a lot of populations around the world is declining, and there's just simply a lot more elderlies right now, and these elderlies, they as they grow older, they become weak in their mind, they become, they fall for scams more easily, and they suffer from loneliness as well. They want to be around people, so it's understandable that they'll fall for this kind of scam. And what's worrying is that, this AI video generating technology is so advanced right now. You can literally fake impersonate as anybody by using AI. And with the advance, with the popular K-pop thing going on right now, a lot of people, they can fake like they are some K-pop artists, so that they can impersonate as a K-pop artist to talk to some. They can talk to young girls as well, trick the young girl, and to get her money. But I don't think that young girls would be targeted. In fact, I think that they will be targeting elderlies more than young girls, because elderlies, at least they have a lot more savings, whereas young girls, they may not have much savings at all. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think on the social media site that you're viewing this content on. Let me have an idea of what you think about this kind of scam, romance scam kind of question, and comment on the social media site that you're viewing this content on. This content is being added to over 20 plus social media site, and it is now, from now on, it is going to be part of as a segment on Radio Future. This is being broadcast live on Radio Future right now. Radio Future is a radio channel based in New York City, and they focus on providing the latest news on technology. Right, so this is a news from the Financial Times, Financial Review, and it says that the China AI industry is alarmed by travel curbs on top talent. So what happens is that the China's artificial industry, they warn that restricting travel by top researchers and executives will make it even harder to compete with American tech giants that offer multi-million-dollar pay packages to the world's best AI talent. So what's happening right now is that the Chinese authorities, they have reportedly started requiring some leading AI researchers founders and executives at private companies, including DeepSeek and Alibaba, to obtain government approval before traveling overseas. And this kind of measure, it was usually applied to senior state-owned enterprise executives and government officials and scientists in sensitive industries such as defense and nuclear technology. So they interviewed one executive in Hangzhou, one Hangzhou-based AI company, and he says that nobody is shocked, but a lot of people are disappointed because it helps to be connected overseas, and sharing ideas is the foundation of good science. But then, this article claims that this move actually underscored how Beijing increasingly views elite AI researchers as national strategic assets, as it vies with Washington to get ahead in this critical field, and they believe that this is going to be critical to economic growth, military capability, and national security. So what they're trying to do right now is that they actually want to prevent a brain drain of AI talents. So all these, executives and investors, they argue that China's emergence as AI leader has been built in part on decades of academic exchange and collaboration with leading Western research institutions, and many of China's top researchers train or work abroad before returning to mainland China. But this restriction risks making recruitment more difficult in an industry where Chinese firms already struggle to compete with compensation packages offered by leading American technology companies. So if there's a choice, one Singapore-based technology investor said, if there's a choice between working in US or working in China right now, young engineers or even older ones will probably still go outside of China because of the money. And that is because the top AI engineers in Silicon Valley command annual pay packages worth tens of millions of dollars. And this creates a very powerful incentive for Chinese researchers working overseas to remain abroad. So in 2025, reports emerged that top researchers recruited by OpenAI, Anthropic's and Meta platform, they were receiving compensation packages ranging from US 1 million to more than US 10 million annually, including equity. And besides this, OpenAI chief executive said that Meta had offered sign-on bonuses of up to $100 million to some of the industry's most sought-after AI researchers. Plus, Meta also reportedly lured Chinese-born Peng Ruomin, who led Apple's AI model team, with a compensation package valued at about US $200 million. So this Singapore-based technology investor said, if somebody is already in the United States earning that kind of money, they are probably staying there. But the industry concern in China itself, they have been heightened by Beijing's adverse reaction to Meta's US $2 billion acquisition of the Chinese AI startup Manus, founded by the entrepreneur Xiao Hong and the chief scientist Ji Yichao. So this deal that was announced last year, it actually sparked a fierce backlash among the policymakers in China, and they argued that China risked losing a lot of this important technology and talent to a foreign company. So earlier this year, Beijing moved to unwind the transaction, and according to reports by Financial Times and other media, the founders, the senior executives from Manus, they were prevented from leaving China while the authorities investigated the deal. And this episode actually sent a chill throughout China's startup community, and reinforced perception that China was being increasingly focused on controlling not only strategic technologies, but also the movement of the people behind them. So they interviewed a partner with a Chinese law firm, and he said the origin of the technology, the location of the core R&D and the nationality, and the location of the founding team, historical China operation, data loss, and the process of offshore restructuring may now all become relevant in determining whether or not this belongs to the Chinese government. And in sensitive technology sectors, a deal may be reviewed not only as an M&A transaction, but also as a potential transfer of strategic technology, data, know-how, and national security sensitive capabilities. So these are all the factors that the Chinese government will look into when they are reviewing Chinese AI companies, and to determine whether or not these Chinese AI talents can, when they leave China, do they have to be subjected to China government's review. But in this report, it states that the roots of Beijing's concern stretch back much further, because the Chinese officials, they have for years pointed to the 2018 detention of Huawei's chief financial officer, Meng, in Canada at the request of US authorities as evidence that senior technology executives can become entangled in geopolitical disputes. So this Meng from Huawei, CFO, spent nearly 3 years fighting extradition proceedings before being allowed to return to China in 2021. And this case in China has transformed her into a national symbol and heightened concerns in Beijing about the vulnerability of important business leaders traveling overseas. So that is why the Chinese government decided to have this travel control, and this sits alongside Beijing's broader push to attract global talent home. So over the past 2 years, local governments, universities, and technology companies, they have in China have been launching aggressive recruitment campaigns targeting overseas Chinese graduates and foreign trained researchers, offering generous salaries, housing subsidies, and fast-track residency arrangement. As of now, the official data shows that the number of overseas Chinese graduates returning home to seek work has reached an 8-year high in 2025. And in the Chinese technology community, they see a contradiction in encouraging the world's best researchers to return while making it harder for them to move freely once they arrive. And on one popular North American Chinese language internet forum, one user summed up saying that the brains of smart people, like the money of the rich, are state-owned assets. So the brains of smart people in China, the Chinese, and also the money of the rich Chinese, they all belong to the state. So this is what was claimed on a popular North American Chinese language internet forum. And individuals only keep them for the state. And the state has the power to reclaim them at any time. So this is what's happening in China right now. And this is reported on the Financial Review. What's your take on it? You can pen down your question and comment on the 20 plus social media site that this podcast is being aired on. And this segment is being aired on as part of the Radio Future radio channel based in New York City as well. Let us know your comment about this. Let us know any questions that you have. We'd like to know them about what you feel about the latest travel ban about China on the Chinese AI talent. Was it right for Chinese government to restrict the top AI talents move after attracting them back to China again? Is that good for the Chinese AI talent in the long run? Will it hurt their recruitment of more AI talent in the future? Let us know your opinion about this. Now, the next one is about AFP. This is a very serious technology news for anyone who's interested in AI right now, because AI, it has become so expensive that a lot of companies, they are moving away from using AI, instead encouraging their software developers to use their own software skill to deliver projects right now, because the AI cost is simply too much. And over in Russia's side, a lot of Russian companies, they are being prohibited from using AI services based from American companies. In fact, companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Claude, they have restricted AI access to Russian companies. And a lot of Russian companies in Russia right now, they are facing a lot of problems because they have integrated so much of AI into their company flow. And once these American companies restricted access to the Russian companies are now in a dilemma. They cannot deliver their projects, and they have so much projects and contracts going on that needs to be delivered with the access to all these AI services. They cannot move on right now. They're facing so much problems right now, and they are trying to use VPN to circumvent the restrictions on Russia IP. But European countries, they are clamping down on VPN usage. And also American companies are developing new ways to clamp down on VPN usage as well. So they are restricting AI services to all these Russian companies. And it has become a sanctioned weapon to all these Russian companies. And they have so many contracts to deliver. And if they don't deliver all these contracts, they face a lot of legal lawsuits all around the world. So this article from AFP, it says that artificial intelligence is getting so expensive, and companies are starting to rethink the embrace of this so-called disruptive technology. And it claims that it's playing by a well-worn Silicon Valley playbook. That is, AI companies, they charge rock bottom prices to hook customers after ChatGPT burst onto the scene. So they call it the era of subsidized intelligence, meaning that investors were basically footing the bill so that companies can offer AI on cheaply. But the tides are beginning to turn, and a lot of investors, they are warning right now that an era where big AI companies actually need to make money has begun. That means that companies that are relying on AI heavily right now, countries that are relying on AI heavily right now, they will have to pay a premium, because all these companies, they have worked with a lot of companies, a lot of countries to integrate their AI services into many processes, many internal processes, to such a point that a lot of countries and a lot of companies rely heavily on AI right now, and their software programmers cannot operate without using AI. So that's why these AI companies, they are going to go public. They are going to attract Main Street investors, and they are going to price AI at a higher price. And they are, in a way, they are actually trying to blackmail these countries and these companies. So prices are rising across the board. And one big reason why this is rising is because of AI agents. And unlike a chatbot that just answers questions, these AI agents, they actually do things. They book an appointment, they write codes, they manage files. They're taking over so much of internal processes of a lot of companies right now, especially those companies that are able to pay. Now they are going to be very expensive to run right now, because one task can spin out dozens of agents all working at once, and each one of them is going to rack up a lot of charges. And those charges are being measured in something called tokens. That is the basic unit AI companies use to bill customers. So a single AI agent powered task can burn through dozens of times of more tokens than a simple chat messages. And these AI agents are solving so many problems and issues that are being faced by companies right now. And these companies, they have replaced a lot of their manpower with AI agents. So it's so scary. AI agents are running the company, no longer people, and they they cannot recruit these people back in time. Meanwhile, the company chips and data centers needed to power all this AI, they cannot keep up with the demand. So this creates like computing shortages and adding further uncertainty to the nascent industry. So in developer circles, the cost to use AI for things like coding has grown exponentially. And all these costs are really starting to skyrocket. Some companies have been so eager to use AI that they have gone overboard in a usage binge called token maxing. So in some cases, people are seeing the cost of tokens exceeding the cost of employee within a month or two of use, just because they are using it too much. And even Meta, which earlier this year encouraged employees to use as many tokens as possible as a measure of productivity, has had second thoughts. Nobody should be using AI just for the sake of using them. The chief technology officer in Meta, he said, reported by the Wall Street Journal. And then Uber's chief operating officer this week went a step further, raising eyebrows by saying all this AI spending was showing no noticeable increase in productivity. So in order to cut costs, some companies, they are switching to free open source AI models that anyone can download, but it's not as powerful as ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude, but good enough for many tasks. So many are moving to smaller, more specialized models that are built for specific industries like real estate or finance, rather than giant general purpose ones. Then, some are breaking big AI tasks into smaller steps, handing each piece to the cheapest model that can handle it. And the price difference can be dramatic. So it claims that on the big, large model, it's like about $15 per million tokens, but you can get that down to like 5 cents if you use the smaller mini models. And all of this points to AI becoming more like a commodity, where a specific model matters less than finding the right one at the right price. But don't count out the big players and their state-of-art models just yet, because they say that the most advanced users will always be willing to pay for the best. So what do you think of it? Let us know your comments and questions on the social media site that you are viewing this platform on. We're airing this on 20 plus social media platform sites. And in addition to this podcast will actually be a part of the segment of Radio Future that is based in New York City. Radio Future is a radio channel that focuses on technology-related news. So let us know your opinion or any comments or questions that you may have. So we've come to our end of our podcast. Thank you for your attention, and we hope to see you in the next episode.